I'm 𝐓𝐡𝐞, and you're listening to What the Heck Fintech, where you'll experience and learn that fintech is fin life. Let's get started. Welcome back to part 2 with Jiwon. If you didn't hear part 1, please go back and listen to it to hear Jiwon's amazing, diverse background and how he got his love for baseball, data analytics, and really driving an awesome fan experience. And what really resonated with me, and this is a 𝐓𝐡𝐞 story, and I'd love to hear your take on this, is that when we were doing projects with the 𝐓𝐡𝐞s, the students would get to go and talk to Dr. Steinberg, right, the president of the 𝐓𝐡𝐞s, and his vision, they wanted to make Polar Park the most technology advanced park in the country. So that was when they built it. That was their whole mindset, right? And who better than WPI to help that out, right? So they were all in. And I remember being in the box and having talking to the students and having this vision, and it goes back to fintech. It's frictionless, right? So when you leave your house and when you get to the ballpark and come home, we should make that all frictionless, from getting your tickets to getting there. How do you get there? Your parking, when you get to your seats, do you have your favorite food there? How do we have you enjoy watching the game more and have you less in lines to go get that hot dog at Coney Island hot dog or something, right? So it was all that thinking, and then come back to make that frictionless, make it all one experience. And that is all fintech. He had that fintech vision, but it's really a baseball fan vision that makes it frictionless. And this have the money flows like water. It's all or it happens dynamically with a yes or a no, maybe every step of the way, or do a whole package and just make it happen. That's a vision that really just changed the way, and autonomous checkout, you guys were playing around with that there too with the 𝐓𝐡𝐞s. You guys were doing some great things. And obviously, we'll talk a little bit about the maybe some of the projects too that WPI did. But that Dr. Steinberg vision, and he's out and about in the park too, that he loves that fan experience. Well, what did you learn at the 𝐓𝐡𝐞s because of that guy at the top, right, had that vision?
Yeah, I mean, it's great that, it's the voice of the entire organization when the leader is clearly stating that those kind of stuff, then that delivers into the entire front office, and that's what we are, doing our best to work like to heading into that direction. And I think we did great job on getting to the right direction and start stepping onto that path. As we previously discussed on, how do we bring the younger generation into the ballpark? I think this plays a huge part, right? Where, it used to be just people with the cash just walk up to the box office, just grab a ticket and come into the ballpark. They don't have to know about all different things there because they're here to watch the baseball. And there was like a little more pastime, old time baseball. But now people want to learn what's going on in the ballpark. People want to get a good deals on tickets. People want to make sure they get a good tickets to their values. People want to learn more about the team itself, and they don't want to. And then now it's everything is on the phone. So if you have to go on the laptop to get something, then it's likely you're not going to do it. You're going to feel lazy to do it. So as you mentioned, just as soon as you decide to go to a game, and until the way you walk out from the ballpark, that whole experience. More seamless, more straightforward, more simple it gets. More people will do it and then do it again, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So that's why I think Dr. Steinberg saw that and wanted to make sure we can provide that kind of experience to every single fan that walk into the Polar Park, and it was such a great time working with WPI students to be in the middle of that whole project and see it try different things to make that happen.
And we always try to assign, D3 baseball players that are fintech focused to be on your team too. So did that dynamic help too? I mean, yeah, obviously there were computer science, data science sometimes, business school, industrial engineering, right? Yeah, you had a good mix of like different majors coming together as one team to help solve or figure out a problem that maybe they can help with, that you're thinking about or strategizing about. How did those projects go? And is there any projects you can share? So this audience can really understand, hey, some of the dynamic projects senior students soon to graduate are able to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me see if I can touch a couple things here. I th- I think having different background, like students of different backgrounds, different interests, helped us in a way to, throw in a different perspective into these equations whenever we had a project. So one of the later project that we had was to really deep dive on the ticket sales data. It was 2024 semester, I think the year.
Yep.
And when I was still with the Woosocks, we wanted to really understand how fans are behaving, in the local area. Like, what makes their decision, if they want to come to ballpark, if they want to skip it and then come to the next one or not even come at all, right?
Yep.
Because we had a great group of our season ticket package client base, as well as the groups and a great healthy flow of single game buyers. But we weren't, as you know, if you have 10, 20, 30, 50 plus games in your season tickets, you're not gonna come to every single game because there's life in a way, there's things happen. If you have family, then you gotta go to your kids little league baseball games, or you gotta go to recitals. We wanted to understand the whole, our fans, so that we can work with them, not only work with them, but provide them whenever we can. And we had two guys from D3 WPI baseball team who are super into baseball, and we had a couple of guys who are into gaming, more computer science, and it was a great group to work with because those two guys who play baseball could provide the perspective of being a fan and being a player. They've been to the ballpark multiple times at Polo Park, so they knew what's happening at the ballpark. So they provide the background of being a fan, being a baseball fan in general, while the science guys with the gaming background, they provide the perspective of what really goes into the number side, right?
Yep.
So there are a couple interesting that we found from that study. Of course, we're in the minor league baseball, so we're not getting all the best players to win the championship, right? So we're not trying to chase the World Series rings. We're not trying to chase the best out of best. We're here. A lot of players here are more so passing through, make it to the big league, trying to do their best. The result doesn't have to be the best every time. So we learned that, I'm sure some people might assume so, but we definitely learned that unless you're the big name veteran who are here to rehab, or if you are generational talent who are about to go to the big league, and then make an impact right off the bat, fans won't really react to those appearances. They will come when they're available, rather than they come to game just to watch certain players.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Another thing is, they react to more of the local events. If there's a theater, if there's an event in theater, Hanover Theater, if there's a recital, then, we will lose people from coming to our ballpark, rather than when there's game in the Boston Red Sox, or if there's game in Patriots game, then that the impact is not as big as some of these local events.
Yep. I gotcha. Yeah, I go to all those events because I'm right next door. I'm only about 6 miles away from the stadium, so I go to about 10 games, at least 10 games a year, and I love it. I love it all the time. It's just it's a great feel. It's a great everything they do. Unbelievable feel. And those two baseball players that were on that fintech when they were seniors. One's at Fidelity now. The other one's at State Street. I think Charles River, which is part of State Street, right? So they're both doing fintech, and they love the project that they worked on. Now, here's an interesting fact, which you probably saw, but you probably didn't know. The professors love doing the projects with the Woo Sox, like Professor Blaise, Marcel Blaise, who he'd always get into it, especially because of his financial math. He's been on this podcast. and Wilson Wong, the computer science professor, he's on this podcast too. So they all loved that those projects. It was great, and you could tell when I was always involved, I always, here we go, this is going to be unbelievable, and some other projects, even like before you got to the Woo Sox, we did like a scoreboard type, like how to make that a frictionless and have so people can purchase what's on the scoreboard and have it happen when they want to happen so they don't miss it and everything. There was also like you talked about, the dynamic pricing. There was also the field mapping, right? And kind of helping the app and doing some tweaks to that to get connected more with the fans. There was one actually with the weather and how's the weather impact all this stuff too. So, and I think there was one other project we did too. So we did a bunch. So always the coolest projects. And those are the ones that the sports players that they're fintech focused. They always like, I want to be in the Woo Sox. I want to be that's what they said all the time. Wow. Yeah, I know. And so I'd love to take like a little bit of a pivot here. I'd like to ask a question, thinking of all this. I'd like to hear, so do you drive a lot of that data to monetize it? Because that's how why are you doing it? Yeah, why do you want to have fans have the best experience possible? Because that you want to reduce expenses or increase revenue or both, right? And you have to be able to tie that metric to it. And with the analytics you're doing and how the goal is the bottom line and fan experience, first and foremost, customer, just like it is in the finance, same fundamentals, but you're using this different operational data, right? And you're going deep on that in your operational data of your fans and how the movements and how merchandising and food and how do you get that so it's frictionless. What can you talk about when you're connecting those numbers to then, okay, this is why this is important to the senior management of those minor league teams that you're working with?
That's a really good and a deep question. I think connecting dot itself is somewhat difficult, right? Because you require a lot of data points to make sure you're connecting all the points of the fan, because you have to get the ticket sales data, right? In the first place, you have to make sure if that person came in, so you need to scan ticket data, and then you want to know if that person bought a hot dog or a burger or just a popcorn,
right.
And we also want to know if that person grabbed a hat on the way out or a jersey or nothing, right?
Yep.
So more we learn, or we also want to know when person decided to buy the tickets, from where, right? For what reason?
Yep.
Because at the end, this all goes back to the customers. We want to tailor the experience to individual level. We want to give what's best for individuals, not just in general, right?
Right.
The more personalized we can get, I think that's the old business trend right now. More tailored, more custom to your taste. We can provide. It's better for yourself, better for your experience, right? Yeah. So there were a couple of applications that we used to connect some of those dots, and that way, when we want to run a promotion in game, we don't want to give, let's say, hot dog promotion discounts to people who likes burger more, or who don't eat hot dog. You want to give that specific discount to the people who will likely to go use that hot dog discount. So we are in the process, because I would say the data analytics in minor league baseball only started like a few years ago, right? When I first, start doing more of that data analytical responsibility here at Woo Sox, as far as I knew, there were maybe less than a handful of people in other minor league baseball who are doing the same thing as I did. Yeah. And now that we under DBH, we are trying to provide that kind of in-depth analytics to 48 teams now. So I think we are gonna eventually get to the point where we can understand every single customer, as much customers as we can, and then tailor the experience to those individual level. Um, but I think there's gonna be a little more time and more effort that needs to go into to make that happen.
Yep.
And I think it'll get done soon, but I think we are still heading to that.
I love that vision. Yeah. And it's all about the data, right? And how do you get that data? And and it is a question I just don't know. Um, is there technology to help you get there, right? And bring it all together? Is it seeing that like bringing together all the credit card transactions? But if someone doesn't use credit card, right? If it was all digital, then you could really track it a little more. But maybe the name on the credit card because they might use different credit cards and they bought the shirt compared to the hot dog and right. So the trend and I think we talked about this even about the app having them track how they transverse through, so you know where they go, and then you can probably look at the transactions to make a correlation with that person because they had the. I'll just use the 𝐓𝐡𝐞 as an example. The 𝐓𝐡𝐞 app open, and then you could watch how they move through, almost like Disney does with those bands. They know where you go everywhere, and boom, right? So is there technology to be leveraged from other entertainment or other even other areas in the finance space that you're looking at or should be looking at? And if you need help with that, pull me in. I'd love to brainstorm with you guys on that. But is there any blockers technology wise that you don't have that might be out there, but in a totally different industry could be? I don't
I
know.
think so. I think you mentioned a good point of Disneyland. They have the wristband that they can they have to scan that to get the ride.
Yeah,
I think
magic band,
that's such a
magic
great
band.
yeah, exactly. That's a great technology to make sure you're tracking all individuals, their path there, the way that they're walking, or their path of which ride they go first, right? I think that's something I'm sure a lot of not just the baseball but all the sport industry or all the entertainment venue industries can benefit from, right?
Yeah,
I think there's definitely some technologies out there that will eventually do the job of connecting all this data points. I think you're just figuring out what's best for fans because we don't wanna make it up to burden of fans where they have to do their work, right? For us, we don't wanna get involved. We don't wanna give something to fans to do the work for us, but we wanna learn from them. So
right.
that are some challenges that I'm sure not only us but entire venue industry are kind of going through and trying to figure out what's best for them. Um, but I'm sure there's something out there.
Right. And you get into the privacy part too that might wig people out too. Like, oh, you're tracking me, right? So there's all these social dynamics too. And you got security and cyber challenges with all that stuff too. So yeah, I mean, just like in the finance field, right? It's the same stuff. It's just different product. It really is. It's all the same behaviors. And and driving those expenses and revenues so you can get profitability down to the customer level or the customer type. So then you can really make strategic decisions. And that's what I learned a lot at Fidelity with the analytics that we did because it was millions of customers, right, doing all sorts of products and getting our arms around that and understanding that across business units, just like it seems like at Diamond Baseball Holding across all minor league teams, the 48 of them, right? Because the view that they have, if they got that data standardized, they could make some really unbelievable magic happen and fintech magic because it's all about, okay, let's bring the best experience and give the best buy and the best value to the customer too. So you can, once you get that scale, you can start bringing down costs or more better timing, like you were talking about. Don't give a hot dog to a hamburger person, but even at the time that maybe they always eat it at when a 1 o'clock game, they always have a hot dog at 1:30 or something. You know what I mean? Or 2:15. Who knows? That you can see the trend and then help them out. Oh, are you ready for your hot dog? It's the shortest line over here, or we can bring it right to you. But there's so many opportunities. Now, what do you think? I'd like to ask for technology. What about AI? What are you looking at for AI? How much AI, or is that something that okay, we're thinking about it at this point?
I think AI is playing in a part for us, helping to understand the data a little better, faster.
Yep.
Um, I I'm not sure how much of a time it's going to take for AI to get involved in the operation side of the front office side.
Yep.
But definitely, everyone, I think everyone to a certain level are using the AI to get some help. But at the same time, minor league baseball, especially the one of the strength that we have, one of the things that fans are looking for is the personal level
Yep.
experience.
Yep.
They want to hear to meet people or get to know people sometimes. We have a great community of the package members who's been supporting us years after year since year one of 2021. And I don't know how much of AI will benefit the operations, but I'm sure minor league baseball in general will try their best to keep that personal level experience and have as much of that personal interaction, which
Yep.
which is the great driver of business.
Wow. So Jiwon, we obviously I could talk all day on this topic, but we can't. We can't. I apologize. So I got how how if our audience wants to talk with you more or meet you or like, what's the best way for them to connect with you? Is it LinkedIn? Is it something else? Or what do you recommend? And I can make
Yeah,
sure.
LinkedIn is a great way.
Yeah,
Yep,
LinkedIn is the
definitely.
best way. Okay, awesome. Okay if I share that LinkedIn with as the podcast notes so they can connect with you?
Absolutely. Yeah. If they just mention that, hey, I watched Professor Rob's podcast and I'm more than happy to help, or give any insights.
Awesome. And G1, I'm going to ask you this cold, and you can say no to this, right? Because you mentioned UMass Amherst. I'm teaching a fintech class there right now. I don't know if you want to come back to your alma mater, do a little guest speaking, talk about a little bit about everything you just talked about to the fintech students, because they know already that I'm big. I'm a big sports guy. We just talked about the Super Bowl in fintech, just last class. Also, if you want to come to Stonehill, I'm teaching there too, doing one fintech class there, and I'm teaching at other places also, and I'll probably be doing Bentley in next fall. So let me know. I'd love to have you as a guest speaker. The students would eat it up with a spoon, the stuff you're talking about, and learn from you, and a way for you to give back to get those those students to think differently. That fintech is fin life because you're doing it every single day with your analytics work. It's just been amazing. What do
Yeah,
you
no,
think?
I'm more than happy to be, featured because I value that, insights from the profession on the other side. Because I was there as a student like, a few years ago, and I always wanted to get more insights from people who made it. And I'm still making my way up, but I'm more than happy to provide any help, any insights that students can benefit from, and you know, in a way to get their careers.
Awesome. I'm going to take you up on that. So, so G1, I want to say huge thank you. Wow. I love the story and I love the data. I love it. It's because data is everything is data with a pretty face on top of it. It really is, right? Whether it's a graph, whether it's a report, whether it's an app, whatever, it's all about the data. You get the data right and you get it connected, great things happen, right? In whatever you're doing, independent of fintech, right? So G1, thank you so much. I really appreciate to really emphasize fintech is fin life for our audience. And yeah, let's keep talking. Let's get back and doing some collaborations together. I'd love to do it, right? Because I'm out and about, and so are you.
Absolutely. No, it was a great time chatting with you today, and I hope people enjoyed some of the stories. But yeah, I'm more than happy to continue this conversation and talk more about fintech.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you, G1. I want to say bye, everyone. Thank you for listening to What the Heck FinTech. Make sure you tune into our next episode as we continue to interview fintech leaders and share real-world stories from across the fintech ecosystem so you can fully understand that fintech is fin life.